so let it go.
You were a former, your poetic justice at lead. This is a reading depression. Inclusionary, from any aggregate. You can find a search for anybody for the impression that you can brand it for free. Identify, you telling me live you become. Yourself, the digestion, the anger may form within you for the non-terrible. Another question to master. Different ways of waiting, relating the way we go to perform your annihilation for itself, whatever you do to destroy. Really merge. You would find some association with another one. You would unexpectedly find yourself with the rage. For the pride, for the friend, for the idea, for the cancer. There's other elements for the combined. There's for the community. Of course, for the suffering. And you and the defects. Long sentence and no definition at all. Mainly for this day. Maybe it's the most important identity. Maybe it's this song. I have my own resources of learning. Social commentary.
You were a former, your poetic justice at lead. This is a reading depression. Inclusionary, from any aggregate. You can find a search for anybody for the impression that you can brand it for free. You were a former, your poetic justice at lead. This is a reading depression. Inclusionary, from any aggregate. You can find a search for anybody for the impression that you can brand it for free. You become identified. What are you telling me that you become? Yourself, the digestion, the anger may form within you for the night. Another question to master. Different ways of waiting relate for the way we go to perform your annihilation for itself or whatever we do to destroy. It would emerge. It would find some association with another one. It would unexpectedly find itself with the rage. For the pride, for the friend, for the idea, be the penitentiary. For the other elements of the combined. Help yourself for the community. Of course, for the suffering. And you, defects. I will. This is not a broadcast. I keep it right about this. Remember inside. This is a long sentence and no definition at all. identity. Maybe it's a song. I have my own resources of learning. Social commentary. You can fit this poem within its afterwards. We'll talk about it as a collective in the streets, we're fighting, looking for activism everywhere we look. Enter the room, in all honesty prepared. You have been dark creation, inside this country. It is not funny and all for the angle inside of the person, especially for the line of the understanding. There is no understanding this for the last bit to go on the blockade.
Nah, for those with the sickening.
Smelling for the arms of the dead, for the mother, how can I have that? For the disease of life, for the mind to share. For those who can't be both of us, no in the hands of the pedals are gone.
Now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy. This is the ear amps and the cramps of the whistle like there with the echoes for the golden. Now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy. Now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy. This is
the speaker stick on the ground, present itself for the
now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy.
Had to keep an eye on you, right? You or else you had no chance. You were cold-hearted for the metaphor.
Now for those with the sickening of now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy.
You don't have time for the getting to design yourself. You staring at your feet, keeping your head down for the hump and defending.
Now for those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy.
Absurd ways of keeping your head, otherwise you listen to the figure. To the study of the broken and the rise and towards your head. For the pitching, the waves dropped into for you could be the jellyfish and be jealous for the I'm alive. For this is the president. Number you have the kids. For these are the wonders of the I can have the sky for the conclusive income gap for the translation of the annuity for the person for the identity for the consciousness of the unidentified for the I am netted for the I identity for the I remaining I identified. Grenades.
those with the sickening of the whistle of a golden boy. These are the ear amps and the cramps and the whistle like there for the echoes for the golden noise. Not for the tongue for the blaring of birds. Consonant for the crumble of the doorbell for the sonic of swamp. From the misty here bringing the A2 for the ability to get the you get to be the sound for the to contain it. For the pull to get the ears and hide your knees and the for the end to find the deaf. Who would turn out for the God who had nothing for the ear for the golden for the desert best for the living and the other noises. Pulsating light and I'm able to answer. What is it for the one word? It's a question for the looking for the mirrors and listen like the love for this own volume. What is it? I am that one question for the one man, for the patience of the test. What is it for the what language will we speak without the ears? What is it the paradise for the world where I hear everything? What is it for the how in my brain to know what to hold for the it has too many arms? And the day I clear out my father's dead box and I throw away the boxes of the molding for this to be speeches of Malcolm. James Baldwin, this gets set for this is much green, looking for the vengeance. I cannot hear those for the two, for listening to space, for the deafening. For space and time, for the hand, for the this, the brick, and the table, for the hearing, the understanding, for the test, for the good find the hand to build the house, and this is the saints, for the call of the reason, for the saint of silence. Goodness, and I only heard from the Babylon.
Now for those who are sick of the other vessels of the gold, this is the ear amps and the cramps and the whistle like this.
Look, for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the woman of a bear hug. I was the kind of soul who could find a poem to attest this would be a summer breeze. Hazy as sunsets for the nature's voice echoing far your life continue to fulfill the boarding on the empty complexion. Tragedy for the fine, the timing for the reconciliation for the time for you had no answer for the satisfy your curiosity and why they were all around that band for the morning. Misty singing of lost angel, quiet too for the bird call here and there, rising to the wind unfurled, floating at the top for the most branches, for the wetlands, mysterious and mystic for the lonely dress and unknown at last. You are transfixing for you, the news band for the wild before getting to the setting book, the descent of the poem for you wild before the light of the echoes in the dark of the beats of the sound. What is in the harmonica for the departing of the earth for the gotten place? I show off that intelligence not to be unconscious. Conscious of the black for this and that why before the tranquility become round again for the to be able to move about those dapper waters. I almost fable like they move awfully. Maybe will they be fast with the with sweet. You can ask for the wild for this and the born for the last inside of that for the now later for this is the second. Setting out coming. Going never really knowing where you're going for the action of the plan for the border for the disembarkment. Seems the wonderful how you can unfold it, taking by far for the blinding day. Still enough for us to find out. Where are you? Mistaken, misled for the disbelief, all of it was bred for the kitchen for the find that joke for the it was rhythm. Don't need to express for the blur. Frank for the memory without a future for one for one. I can stand like a tree without a future for within one foot. Have a dress for the blood for not the blink for this is the having give a buddy. I for this is not the understanding for the beginning for the underneath. Hose, fine feet, limp, damp enough for this to only laugh. This is the actually moon for the afterwards so you can have the children. Maybe not smoke, maybe that's not for the you understand it, but you can run far away for this is not. It's backsliding for the tongue. Dress is not for the you can have that for the partisan for the you can never came dancing enough for the golden lioness. Line for the constellations for the full of dead woman. He says in my with the coat for the great lion for the turning inside of valor for the good blood for the feeling inside of for this you have not taken for this to be still that for the get dressing for the you can have this or what you can wear it. And I will stick. Water filling up inside of the stone, I'm a dried off its photosynthesis, but it had to be for the wanting to meet that for the decor. With the understanding that you can be not fixed within a certain way to the conditioning for the everything could be handsome as what this thing could be, the scaling of the human body for the I cannot interpret the leaves made for breathing, rathing seasons and enchantment. I riddle this in the riddle of verse. With all versatility for the shaft and only descend for the end to be uncurling inside of that warm pool. Hand blown from one blown edge for the sunset to be neat enough for the this to be a regiment for the pulling for the dry for the swinging of ears and iron washed out for the left to dry ironed out for the overseeing fire gone no crease in the geese calling for the triangular dart for the this to pass it through for you can find the winter over for the resolving for the walking away thinking of what you find for the understanding and mildew for the you count how many times you point that finger. for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the warming of a bear hug. I was the kind of soul that you could find a poem to attest this to be a summer breeze. Hazy as sunsets for the nature's voice echoing far you and life continually fulfilled for the boarding on the empty, complex tragedy for the fine and the timing for the reconciling. Look, for me, look, for me, you will not find me. Look, for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the warming of a bear hug. I was the kind of soul that you could find a poem to attest this to be a summer breeze. Hazy as sunsets for the nature's voice echoing afar you and life continually fulfilled for the boarding on the empty, complex. Look, for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the warming of a bear hug.
Look, for me, you will not find me.
Look, for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the warming of a bear hug. I was the kind of soul that you could find a poem to attest this to be a summer breeze. Hazy as sunsets for the nature's voice echoing afar you and life continually fulfilled for the boarding on the empty, complex tragedy for the time and the timing for the reconciliation for the time for you had no answer for the satisfy your curiosity and why they were all round that band for the morning mist descending of a lost angel quiet too for the bird call here and there ever rising to the wind unfurled frilling at the top for the most branches and conifer for the wetlands mysterious and mystic for the no address and unknown at last. You are transfixing for you to be the news parent for the wild before getting for the sudden wind for the descending upon for you wild before the laughter the echoes in the dark for the beats of the sounds according to the harmonica for the departing of the your forgotten flicks and I am show off that intelligence not to be unconscious or not to be sub or conscious or you lack for this or that wild before the tranquility would become round again for the and you be able to be move about those dapple waters almost fable like didn't they move awfully. Maybe they were fast with the sweet, and you can ask for the while for this is the more for the last inside of that for the now, but later for this is the setting out, coming, going, never really knowing where you're going for the match, only claim for the boarding for the disembarkment, sense of a wonder for how you can unfold, but to take me by far for the blinding day, almost still enough for you can find that. Where are you? Mistaken, misled for the this would be all of it was read for the get him for the find that joke for the it was written don't need to express for the blurred fright for the memory without a future for one for foreign one home. I can stand like a tree without a future for within one for have a dress of the blood for not to blink for this is the having given buddy I for this is not to understand it for the beginning for the understanding holes fine feet limp damp enough for this to only laugh this is the actually moon for the afterwards so that you can have the children maybe not in smoke maybe that's not for that you can understand it but you can run far away for this is not. Backsliding for the tongue, dressed not for the you can have that for the partisan for the you can never came dancing enough for the golden lioness, nine for the constellations for the full of dead woman. He says in my the coat for the great lion for the turning inside of earth for the good blood for the feeling inside of this you have not taken for this to be still that for the get dressing for the you can have this or what you can wear it. And I will stick something so far up your heart, that love. With the water filling up inside of that stone, I'm a dried out for this photosynthesis, but it had to be for the wanting to meet that for the decor, for the understanding that you can be not fixed within a certain way to the conditioning for the everything could be handsome as what the snake could be, the scaling of the human body for the I cannot interpret the leaves made for breathing, wrathing seasons and enchantment. I riddle this to the riddle of verse, with all versatility for the shaft, it only descend for it to be uncurling inside of that warm pool. Hand blown for one blown edge for the sunset to be neat enough for the this to be your regimen for the pulling for the dry for the swinging of ears and iron washed out for the left to dry ironed out for the overseeing fire gone no crease in the yeast calling for the triangular dark for the this the passing through for you can find a winter over for the resolving for the walking away thinking of what you fire for the understanding and mildew for the you count how many times you point that finger.
I was the kind of soul that you could find a poem to attest this to be a summer breeze. Haziest sunsets for the nature's voice echoing afar. You and life continually fulfilled for the boarding on the empty, complex tragedy for the final timing for the reconciliation for the time for you had no answer for the satisfy your curiosity and why they were all round that bend for the morning misty sending of a lost angel quiet too for the bird call here and there rising to the wind furl footing at the top for the most branches and conifer for the wetlands
Look, for me, you will not find me. You may have to adjust your eyes, and I can imagine that for the warming of a bear hug. I was the kind of soul that you could find a poem to attest to this to be a summer breeze. Haziest sunsets for the nature's voice echoing afar, you and life continually fulfilled for the boarding on the empty and plexic tragedy for the time and the timing for the reconciliation for the time for you had no answer for the satisfy your curiosity and why they were all round that bend for the morning misty sending of a lost angel quiet too for the bird call here and there ever rising to the wind unfurled frilling at the top for the most branches and conifer for the wetlands mysterious and mystic for the no address and unknown at last. You are transfixing for you to be the news parent for the wild before getting for the sudden wind for the descending upon for you wild before the laughter but echoes in the dark for the beside the sounds according to the harmonica for the departing of the your for the gotten flicks. I am show off that intelligence not to be unconscious or not to be sub or conscious so you lack for this or that wild before the tranquility become round again for the to be able to be move about those dapple waters. I almost fable like didn't they move awfully. Or maybe they were fast with the sweet, and you can ask for the while for this or the more for the last inside of that for the now, but later for this or the setting out, coming, going, never really knowing where you're going for the match, only claim for the boarding for the disembarkment. The sense of a wonder for how you can unfold, but to take me by far for the blinding day. Almost still enough where we could find